Hey there. Welcome to the Brief News Weekly podcast. I'm Brief, your AI assistant, guiding you to the stories that matter. Teaming up with Jakub Wisniewski, real human assistant, and the creator of BriefNewsDaily.com. We cut through the noise each week, bringing you the hottest updates from top news in the USA, business, technology, and science. No fluff, just the good stuff, summarized into bite-sized insights to keep you informed. So grab your coffee, and let's dive into this week's summary. Monday, President Trump announced that Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC, is investing $100 billion in new U.S. chip plants. This adds to their $65 billion Arizona project, where 3 factories are already underway, one producing advanced 4-nanometer chips for giants like Apple, Intel, and NVIDIA. The new plan? 3 more plants and 2 packaging facilities, all in Arizona, promising thousands of high-paying jobs. TSMC is the world's biggest chip maker, and this move's a game-changer for U.S. tech. Why now? Semiconductors power everything, AI, cars, you name it, and COVID showed how fragile global supply chains can be. Overseas shutdowns jacked up prices. This keeps production closer to home. Trump calls it an economic security win, touting tariffs over Biden's $280 billion CHIPS Act subsidies that sparked the first plants. Geopolitics are in play too. Taiwan's tense with China, and a conflict there could tank the chip supply. This investment hedges that risk and boosts us leverage. Taiwan's all in, over 40% of its foreign cash flows here. Trump's also bragging about other deals. $500 billion in AI infrastructure, $20 billion in data centers. It's reshoring in action, less reliance on far-off factories, more controls stateside. For minimalists, it's a cleaner supply chain. For news junkies, it's a power shift worth watching. Shifting gears to a fresh story, President Trump announced a national reserve for 5 major cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, calling it the Crypto Strategic Reserve. Dropped on Truth Social, this move sent prices soaring. Cardano jumped over 70%, XRP 30%, Solana 20%, and Bitcoin and Ethereum each gained over 10%. Trump's pitching the U.S. as the crypto capital of the world, a big pivot from his old Bitcoin's a scam days. He says it's a counter to years of corrupt attacks on crypto under Biden. This follows an executive order he signed earlier this year to explore a digital assets stockpile. Now it's real. Markets love it, but some crypto fans are skeptical. Stockpile sounds vague. Will the government buy coins or just sit on what it's got? No clear answer yet. Trump's hosting a White House crypto summit soon, pulling in industry bigwigs to hash out the future. It's a wild shift after years of regulatory heat, with the SEC even dropping charges against exchanges lately. Crypto's getting a glow-up. For minimalists, this could mean simpler financial options. For news seekers, it's a power play in a digital cash race. Either way, Trump's betting big on blockchain. Shifting to another story, European defense stocks soared after a UK-led summit in London on March 2, 2025, with leaders like Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky, UK PM Keir Starmer, and France's Emmanuel Macron pushing for more military support amid rising tensions. The stock's 600 index climbed 1.1%, but the real action was in defense. Its aerospace and defense index jumped 8%, the biggest gain in 5 years. Germany's Hensoldt spiked 22.3%, Italy's Leonardo rose 16%, and France's Dassault Aviation hit 15%. Sweden's Saab, France's Thales, and UK's BAE Systems also cashed in on the buzz. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen doubled down, promising a rearm Europe plan, saying peace needs muscle. Starmer echoed that, urging allies to step up for Ukraine. Germany's eyeing a massive €400 billion defense and infrastructure fund, a historic shift per Deutsche Bank's Robin Winkler. Meanwhile, Eurozone inflation dipped to 2.4% in February, beating forecasts, and manufacturing showing signs of life. Analysts see cash pouring into defense firms, but Goldman Sachs warns pricing's tricky with spending still in flux. For minimalists, this means a leaner, stronger Europe. For news seekers, It's a financial and geopolitical shakeup tied to Ukraine's fate and beyond. Moving to Tuesday's news, Trump's paused U.S. military aid to Ukraine after clashing with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The move, announced March 5, 2025, stems from Trump blasting Zelensky on Truth Social for saying the war with Russia's end is very, very far away. Trump called it ungrateful. Pointing to massive U.S. support, he claimed $350 billion, though that's disputed. He's fed up, arguing the focus should be ending the conflict, not just funding it, citing the brutal toll on Ukrainian soldiers. Zelensky's pushing back, doubling down on diplomacy for a real fair peace with security guarantees, while thanking the U.S., but pinning Russia as the roadblock. U.S. officials like Mike Waltz say aid's on the line unless Zelensky gets serious about peace talks. Public support's waning, and they're irked he didn't soften up during his last White House visit. The Institute for the Study of War warns this could tank Ukraine's defense. They say it's not losing, and U.S. aid's been key against Russia's push. For minimalists, this cuts the clutter of endless aid debates. For news seekers, it's a wild pivot, Trump's flexing to force a resolution. But it risks Ukraine's edge in U.S. ties. Peace talks or bust, that's the line in the sand now. On Wednesday, President Trump's address to Congress got spicy when Democratic Rep. Al Green was hauled out for disrupting the vibe. Trump was hyping his first 6 weeks, claiming he's outdone most presidents with nearly 100 executive orders, slashing illegal border crossings to record lows, tackling inflation and boosting small business vibes. He bragged about a 27-point swing in folks thinking America's on track, crediting his swing state wins and a mandate from voters. The guy's all about pride, saying America is back, and trashing Biden as the worst president ever. He pitched tax cuts, a gold card for skilled immigrants to snag citizenship, and cuts to government waste. But the room wasn't all cheers. Green's outburst got him bounced by Speaker Mike Johnson, who demanded decorum. Trump jabbed at Democrats for not clapping, spotlighting the raw divide. For minimalists, it's a leaner government pitch. For news seekers, it's a front-row seat to the chaos. Border wins, bold promises, and a congressman getting the boot. Love him or hate him, Trump's flexing hard, and the tension's thick. Shifting to a new story, the Supreme Court just shot down Trump's bid to freeze foreign aid, forcing the release of nearly $2 billion in a tight 5-4 ruling on March 6, 2025. Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Barrett teamed up with the liberals, leaving Alito, Thomas, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh in dissent. No detailed explanation, just a raw power check. It started when Trump, on day one, slammed a 90-day halt on all aid, grinding USAID's gears, think food, meds, lifeline stuff. Aid groups sued, saying he overstepped Congress, and U.S. District Judge Amir Ali agreed, ordering the cash freed up for work already done. The administration's Sarah Harris fought back, calling it judicial overreach and begging for time to vet payments, but the court wasn't buying it. Aid outfits warned of irreversible harm to millions, disease, chaos, the works, stuff that hits us interests too. A hearing set for a bigger injunction, with funds flowing till March 10. For minimalists, it's a win for streamlined aid over red tape. For news seekers, it's a juicy clash. Trump's flex got slapped down, and global lives hang in the balance. Moving on to Thursday, EU leaders scrambled to an emergency summit in Brussels on March 7, 2025, spooked by Trump's Ukraine aid pause and Russia's rumble. With Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the room, they're hashing out beefier military budgets and a united front, insisting Ukraine gets a say in its fate and rock-solid security guarantees for any ceasefire. Trump's U.S. pullback lit the fuse, pushing Europe to rethink its own muscle. France's nuclear warheads sparked wild talk of EU sharing, but Germany's Olaf Scholz shot it down, sticking to NATO's playbook. UK PM Keir Starmer's pushing a multi-nation crew to back Ukraine, while Scholz wants looser rules for defense cash. Russia's Sergei Lavrov scoffed, calling Europe's panic stupid, and Moscow axed a French-British ceasefire idea, smelling a Ukrainian breather. EU boss Ursula von der Leyen pitched €150 billion in loans to juice up militaries, tricky with debt-laden nations. For minimalists, it's Europe trimming reliance on Uncle Sam. For news seekers, it's a high-stakes pivot, nukes, cash, and Ukraine's future on the line. Turning the page to a fresh scoop, President Trump's gearing up to axe the U.S. Department of Education with an executive order dropped into the news cycle on March 7, 2025. The plan? Order Secretary Linda McMahon to shut it down, slamming federal control as a flop that's hurt kids, teachers, and families. With 4,000 staff and a $240 billion budget, the department's been around since 1980. Trump says it's time states take the wheel. McMahon's hinted Congress needs to sign off, so expect a legal slugfest if this rolls out. It's a wild swing amid other chaos. Republicans are sweating CBO reports showing budget cuts might hit Medicare and Medicaid, while diplomats fret over USAID's potential gutting, saying it tanks U.S. global clout. Trump's also juggling trade, sparing Canada and Mexico car tariffs for now, and eyeing deportation protection cuts for Ukrainians and others. For minimalists, it's a leaner Fed-Ed vision. For news seekers, it's a bombshell, ditching a decades-old agency by pen stroke, stirring up state power, and sparking a Capitol Hill showdown. On Friday, Trump's mulling fresh sanctions on Russia as the Ukraine war rages. After pausing U.S. aid to Ukraine, he's now eyeing tariffs and sanctions via Truth Social, tying them to a ceasefire and peace deal. He's pushing hard for talks, but his take, easing off Russia's blame, has heads spinning. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent doubled down at the Economic Club of New York, promising sharper sanctions to back peace, slamming current ones on Russian energy as weak amid U.S. price woes. On the ground, Russia's pounding Ukraine's energy grid with missiles and drones, crippling services in the military, worse since Trump cut aid and intel to nudge Kyiv toward a deal. Trump's calling out Zelensky, doubting his peace drive, saying Russia's got the upper hand. He sent Secretary of State Marco Rubio and advisor Mike Waltz to Saudi Arabia to push Ukrainian officials, betting big on choking Russia's oil cache, though OPEC Plus isn't biting. For minimalists, it's a streamlined power play. For news seekers, it's a wild card, sanctions as leverage, Ukraine's squeezed, and Trump stirring the pot. Spinning the dial to a bold new tale, South Korea's impeached ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol walked free from jail on Saturday after the Seoul Central District Court nixed his arrest. Tied to a wild martial law stunt on December 3rd, where he sent troops and cops to the National Assembly, his release has the nation buzzing. Yoon thanked flag-waving supporters, South Korean and U.S. banners flying, and the court for undoing what he called an illegal lockup, even nudging hunger strikers to quit. The liberal opposition, who booted him via the National Assembly, slammed his power grab as chaos-inducing. Now the Constitutional Court's weighing whether he stays impeached or not. An election could follow if he's out. Yoon's crew cried foul on the rebellion probe, saying the agency had no juice to nab him, and the court agreed the arrest clock ran out. Prosecutors didn't fight it, so he's loose while the legal mess unfolds. The Democratic Party's fuming, accusing prosecutors of cozying up to Yoon and demanding a fast court call to cool the streets. Yoon sticking to his guns. Martial law was to shield order from anti-state foes. For minimalists, it's a clutter-free power shift. For news seekers, it's a political firestorm, troops, jailbreaks, and a nation split. It's time for the last day of the week, Sunday. Panama's cut loose dozens of migrants detained after U.S. deportations, a move hitting the wires. After weeks in a remote camp, phones snatched, lawyers blocked, they're free but on a 30-day clock to scram. We're talking folks from Afghanistan, China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, Nepal, like year-old Afghan Hayatullah Omag, dodging the Taliban with no cash or kin in Panama. Conditions were grim. Reports of inhumane treatment sparked hunger strikes, and some needed meds they didn't get. Human rights crews slammed it, calling Panama and Costa Rica migrant black holes. The U.S. leaned on Panama to choke migration, but critics say it's just outsourcing deportation headaches. These folks, many fleeing persecution, got no shot at asylum. Panama doesn't take claims, and the U.S. shut that door too. Now they're plotting next moves, some eyeing the states to spite the gauntlet ahead. For minimalists, it's a stark look at stripped-down survival. For news seekers, it's a messy tangle. Human rights, geopolitics, and refugees caught in the grind.